Baby, you'll want baby. I know that. Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga, the Boxingego recap. I'm going to let you know everything that went on today in Vegas. Both fighters have officially weighed in. Stay tuned to the end of this video. I will go over all the deets, give you guys the weights of both fighters, observations that I noticed, special edition Ego Weight Watchers. So as I'm talking, you'll see some clips from the actual weigh-in. And both fighters, spoiler alert, both fighters made weight. Both Edgar Berlanga and Canelo. So kudos to that. Both fighters made weight. So we have a fight. Now, immediately, what I noticed in this particular fight weigh-in was Berlanga, he looked a little bit more sucked up. Canelo, to me, overall, he just looked more ready and of the division. Canelo, his face didn't look gaunt. He didn't look sucked up in any type of way. But when I was looking at Berlanga, it looked like his eyes were sunk in and he had that look, and you have to pay attention, but it looked like his eyes were about to pop out of his head, so to speak, from the weigh-in. So I definitely believe that the weight cut was more apparent from Edgar Berlanga. And see, I think already I would give that first round before they get to the actual fight, I give the advantage to Canelo Alvarez. Not only does he carry the experience, but the experience to me shows he has a diligent team, and they look, to me at least, like they arrived at the weight in a better, more comfortable fashion than Edgar Berlanga. And I warned you guys about this in a previous video before the weigh-in. Ego Weight Watchers, often imitated, never duplicated. Ego Weight Watchers, aka ill. I give you guys a look into the fighter lifestyle before, after, and progress picks when they have that upcoming fight. Berlanga, he was just looking too big in his preparation, and that's this new generation. I don't know if it's a discipline issue, if it's laziness, I don't know. But I noticed from the Devin Haney's to the Berlangas to these different fighters, they're coming from whatever their walk around weight is in their respective division, and they're dropping down significantly. And to me, I always believed in the stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right? And that's a mantra that I kind of live by. And I feel fighters, they already have a certain window of opportunity as a fighter to be at top level, because boxing, for the most part, is a young man's game and a young man's sport. So you got a window of opportunity, and you got to make the most of it in that specific bracket, whatever that, from this date to this date, and you got to take care of that dash, everything in between. So for me, Berlanga has never been at this level. I'm definitely picking Canelo Alvarez. I'm picking Canelo by stoppage. Another spoiler alert. I just think Canelo brings the experience, and this weigh-in for me showed it. Now let's get to the actual weights so you guys can see it on the screen. I made this graphic. Canelo, baby, yo, hey, please do not disrespect me, right? Canelo, he weighed 166.8 pounds. So the limit is 168. Canelo came in at 166.8. So he's definitely under. So Canelo had no problems. Versus when we're talking about weight drain and a harder weight cut, you got the younger fighter who made weight, but he came in, just ounces under the contracted weight at 167.7 pounds. So to me, this shows that Canelo Alvarez, being more experienced, likely had more of a strategic game plan and a target weight. And I think Canelo wants to come in a bit lighter. He's fighting someone taller than him, younger than him, bigger than him, allegedly a knockout artist. At least when he was with Top Rank, that's what they were saying, right? So I think that's Canelo's game plan. They strategically came in a little bit lighter, so Canelo's just fast-handed and just fresh and able to move, comfortably. Berlanga looked like, kind of, they just arrived at whatever weight that they could that was under the limit. That's my honest opinion. They did a ceremonial weigh-in for the crowd later on, but this is pictures from the weigh-in before. You can see the later ceremonial weigh-in, he filled out a little bit, but this is him in the beginning, and it just doesn't look as authorized as Canelo's weight. Look at Canelo. Canelo looked like, he had a great camp, to be honest. And again, you look at the before pictures that I was talking about, Berlanga just looked kind of big. And I never understood that with boxers. I understand you're fighting a Canelo, so you want to have some type of edge or advantage. But I never understood why some boxers feel that it makes sense to pack on a bunch of muscle only to lose the muscle and then have to deplete muscle and dehydrate and flatten out your body for a fight. As we know, some people say weight doesn't matter, which is true and false. Depending if you're a Floyd Mayweather, you can topple guys that weigh more than you. He's done it several times. But most guys, unfortunately, aren't Floyd Mayweather. So weight does matter for most fighters, where like you put a fighter A with fighter B, and if fighter B, just look at like Jared Anderson, skilled fighter, but he fought Martin Bacoli, and that was so much weight for him to overcome, and he technically wasn't defensively proficient enough to stay away from them Bacoli onslaughts and uppies and stuff like that. So weight doesn't matter, but then again, it does. And I think it'll matter less for Canelo because he's experienced. He's been here. Canelo at the weigh-in looked insanely calm. Kudos to Canelo, but that's what you kind of expect when you fought Floyd Mayweather. You fought a bigger Puerto Rican name and legend in Miguel Cotto. So who is an Edgar Berlanga? And here's the thing. I don't think Canelo's team underestimates their opponent, so I don't think they're looking at Berlanga as, necessarily a cakewalk, but Canelo definitely has the experience over him, and I think it showed really in his preparation. I think Berlanga kind of made it to the weight, and his game plan seems to be youth, strength, and probably power, and try to overpower Canelo. But at this point, how many guys have you personally watched where Canelo was the smaller person in the ring and the guy had height over him, allegedly had power? I could think of several. Danny Jacobs was bigger than Canelo. Caleb Smith looked a lot bigger. Rocky Fielding, right? Virtually everyone, Canelo, Golovkin was a bit taller and definitely had cracks. Hell no, guys, hey, Max, guys is nothing, just punch, tick, 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 nothing, right? So Kovalev, Dmitry Bivol, even though he lost that fight, but nobody's knocked Canelo out. Nobody's knocked Canelo down. So I have a hard time believing that Berlanga, even though his name is the chosen one, I don't really believe he's the chosen one for this assignment. But yet and still, this is why we watch boxing. It's the theater of the unknown. Anything can technically happen. And I think Berlanga did a good job of promoting the fight on his behalf. So I'm definitely tapped in. I'll do a watch party for this. Good undercard. Caleb Plant and Trevor McCumbee. They don't really like each other. Denny Garcia and Edeslandi Lara is a fight that's been rumored. Finally, we're getting that fight. They've been very cordial to each other, but I think that'll be a good fight, and it'll be an interesting fight. Rolly, interesting to see, him come back after the Pitbull loss. So I'm tapped in. This was a good weigh-in. The other thing that immediately stuck out for me is that crowd. Canelo, bring him out, bring him out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth. Canelo brings him out. That Vegas crowd was looking thicky, thick. If you a thicky, thick girl. Y'all don't know about it. Y'all too young to know that song. This is the Canelo crowd, though. And I made this. It says Canelo Vegas crowd is nutso. Bro, this is nutso from above the rim. Look at this crowd. Like he had a political rally. So, shout out to La Raza. They came out for the boy Canelo. PBC, they know how to throw these events. And like you can see the crowd is, it speaks for itself. It really does. Like, and here's the thing, this is no camera trickery. This ain't no camera trickery. They're showing you slow pans and slow drags, showing the whole crowd, and you getting different angles. Like, I noticed DAZN try to do this, but what they do is camera tricks, and they'll show certain angles and vantage points to make it look more popping than what it was. They did it with like Haney Garcia, I would say. But this, they're showing you a slow pan. Trust me, I do edits, I direct, I've DP'd, I know how the camera work. If there's anything boxing know, I know them camera tricks. This ain't no camera trick, bro. This ain't AI or whatever. So if you hate on the crowd and say it wasn't packed, then you just a hater. It is what it is. So Canelo, his fans is definitely loyal, and they coming out at least to see the weigh-in. And I do think it'll have a good crowd. And it leads me to my next point, which is a lot of the haters, they said boxing is dead. And I put out this tweet. They said boxing is dead. UFC has taken over. Turkey Al-Sheikh says we will eat Canelo Alvarez on that fight day. Y'all said the UFC sphere is going to destroy Canelo's event. Y'all also said nobody wants to see Canelo versus Berlanga. But yet again, here we are. And despite all that talk, this is the crowd. Y'all say, oh, the UFC is, boxing is dead and all this goofy stuff. But it's looking like Vegas is speaking. Now, the Sean O'Malley fair play, the Sean O'Malley card, I haven't seen yet, so I don't know what their weigh-in will look like. But you would have to be pretty fond of the results if you were PBC and you had your event on the MGM properties and you seen that type of turnout, right? Because the same day is the Sean O'Malley fight. And to be honest, I haven't really heard much buzz about that. And again, like I said earlier in this video, Berlanga did a good job as the villain in the B-side. Now, back to Berlanga. At the weigh-in, he said a couple of things that showed me he was inexperienced at this level. He said, and I hated this, Berlanga made a statement, and he said something like, they asked him what's going to happen tomorrow. He did say knockout. He said he's going to knock out Canelo. But Canelo says the same thing over and over. He says it's easy to say that, but doing it is much harder. And I agree, because Triple G got more power than Berlanga to me. Triple G's a better fighter than Berlanga. Hell no, guys is nothing. Right? So that's just what that was saying. More experience, more Emmys, more power, probably similar size to Berlanga. Maybe not in terms of mass, but just a better jab, all these things. And he never dropped Canelo in 36 rounds or whatever, 3 fights. So, yeah, I got to rock with Canelo on this. But one thing I told you, there's something that Berlanga said, and I don't like that because it's analogous to in the boxing ring when the two fighters are fighting and then a person has a great round and the person who lost the round clearly daps up the other person and touches gloves on the way back to the corner after the bell rings. I hate that. I hate that because I don't believe this is a sport for the weak. This sport of boxing, my sport, is not for the squeamish or the weak-hearted, right? So you don't want to show anything. You don't want to show any chinks in the armor. You don't want anybody to have any advantage. I don't believe in giving. You can be friends later and stuff like that. But what Berlanga said was, this is Canelo's event. I would have never said that because even though it's true, I still won't say it. Like I would not give him that. He said, y'all gonna see tomorrow, this is Canelo's event, but we want to steal the show. To me, that shows like probably nerves. And I noticed that Berlanga, like I said, his eyes look like they're gonna pop out. And normally he was talking spicy, but then when you both weighed in, you look in Canelo dead in the eyes, and it's like mano y mano, and Berlanga didn't really say anything. Like, he didn't push Canelo. He was talking all this knockout stuff, and I'm a body Canelo, and Canelo mad slow, whatever trash talk Berlanga was saying. He said all of that, and then you get up in front of Canelo, and you kind of, you respect it. It's really what it is. You didn't talk spicy in front of him. You didn't like bite your teeth. There was no, the energy he showed in the buildup, I didn't really see at the face-off. And Canelo was just chilling. At the end, when they broke from the face-off, Canelo kind of smirked like he was food. So I really didn't like the body language from Berlanga. It seemed to be a little bit more nervous and like, wow, like trying to process everything and it's like when you're super nervous, but you're trying to keep it together and keep your, like, yeah, I'm good. But you could tell still that there's some nerves rattling in there. That's kind of what I seen from Berlanga, especially when he made that statement about this is Canelo's show, or this is like, you're just a participant. I would have never said that. Like, I remember Canelo when he was fighting Floyd, even though he got the brakes beat off him by Floyd Mayweather, Floyd tried to hand him the belt for a photo op, and Canelo was like, nah, I don't want that. That's the mentality I like to see. Whether it worked out in Canelo's favor in the Floyd fight or not, which it didn't, I like to see that, because you don't give anybody no advantage like that. And then Berlanga, I don't typically read too much into the face-offs, but sometimes it's apt, and sometimes it makes sense to kind of look at body language and things like that. And I think this is an example of one of those times. And I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close, so you might want to take my word for it. Berlanga, he just seemed a little bit more like rattled in nerves. It wasn't nothing that was so glaring or so obvious, but when you have keen senses, you notice it. Like, there was a moment where they're facing off, and it was a pretty lengthy face-off, and Berlanga started doing his neck like he Mike Tyson and like doing all that extra. To me, that's starting to show that it's a little bit uncomfortable and, that kind of thing. And maybe a little bit nerves, because Canelo just never broke and just staring at him. Berlanga started like tweaking his neck and, doing all that extra. So I think it was getting to Berlanga a bit. But ultimately, we gonna see. We gonna see tomorrow. The crowd was crazy. Solid weigh-in. And we have ourselves a fight. Let me know what you guys think. I'm truly the best in the business, so subscribe. You dig.